morning, everyone from Belgrade, Serbia. We are live. My favorite city in the world. I will wait for a few of you all to join, but for those that are new here, my name is Angela Blair, or just call me Blair, Blair Belgrade, and I'm an American living in Belgrade for about 3.5 years. But before I was known as Blair in Belgrade, I used to live in actually quite a few places, but Almaty, Kazakhstan, before the pandemic. And today's live, I want to talk about my experience living in Kazakhstan because it is quite a unique place, just like living in Serbia is quite a unique place. You don't find too many Americans here, or there were not many Americans in Kazakhstan, so I'm really excited to share my experience living in Kazakhstan, especially as an American, as a Black woman, as a single woman. There are just so many different parts of my identity that played a role in why I love Kazakhstan, but overall, Eurasia, for example, is still a unique region of the world, just like the Balkans, that is not really explored as much. For example, in comparison to East Asia, everyone knows Japan or Korea and China, and I've been to all three. I spent time living in actually South Korea and China. But Kazakhstan, when I went to Kazakhstan in 2019, after 2019 was a rough year. After living in Singapore, I had no idea about what to expect of the country and what the people look like, the language spoken. It was just such a random option, but I went there to teach English. So I'll give everyone a few minutes to join, and you can write your questions below. But before I really dive into it, living in Serbia, especially as a Black American woman, has been a really interesting experience. And you can watch my latest video where I share what it's like to be a Black woman, especially an American woman, a businesswoman, an influencer. I don't think my experience is universal compared to everyone when you come as a foreigner to Serbia. And someone in the last live I did was explaining, Blair, you should talk about your experience in Kazakhstan. Because I am still a fan of Kazakhstan. I had a lovely time living in Kazakhstan. I had to cut my time short living in Kazakhstan. And it is a very big country. Land-wise, Kazakhstan is a very big country. It's like, I think, the 9th largest country, like land-wise, in the world. It is a former Soviet country, so it used to be part of the Soviet Union. It has actually a very small population. There's about, I believe, 10 million people living in Kazakhstan, and I was in the old capital city, Almaty. When I moved there in 2019, they moved the capital to Astana, or they changed the name actually in 2019 as well to Nur Sultan, but everyone still calls it Astana. And originally the plan was to move to Astana to teach English. That's how I've been able to travel the world. I forget that a lot of people don't travel as much or like hop around as much as me, but once you're an expat and you're just moving around from assignment to assignment, job to job, country to country, this becomes very normalized. But in my experience, very few people have been to Kazakhstan. And leave a thumbs up if you're watching this live, and feel free to subscribe. But leave a comment below if you've been to Kazakhstan, because I have met very few people that have been to Kazakhstan, let alone know where Kazakhstan is. And well, I'm here and we're talking about Kazakhstan. So I think this is the closest we'll ever be. And it's just a beautiful, no, I'm not interested in marriage. I love living my single life, which has enabled me to travel this much. Honestly, as a foreigner, especially as an American, which there is a lot of privilege, picking up my suitcases, I used to just have 2 suitcases. To travel the world is much easier as a single woman, not as a married woman. Um, and I'm very happily single. But let me know if you've been to Kazakhstan, and if you have been to Kazakhstan, have you been to the south of Kazakhstan? Have you been to Almaty? Have you been to Astana? There are other major cities. I'm just going to pull up a map here of Kazakhstan. Such an amazing, beautiful country. Okay. So that borders, it's the south of Russia, next to China, and also shares a small border with Mongolia. And also borders Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan and Georgia. Like, Kazakhstan is quite a big country. I have like my other phone. Like, it is a very, very big country. So when I flew to, I left Singapore towards the end of 2019, and from Singapore I had to go to Hong Kong, and then from Hong Kong I went to Russia. It was in this city called Novosibirsk. I cannot even pronounce it. A city in Russia, and then from that city in Russia begins with the N. I went to Almaty, and I had no idea what to expect. I just had an offer to teach English, and I said yes, and I packed my bags, and I decided, why not? So it was like September 2019 when I went to Kazakhstan, and I haven't even watched that movie, Borat, apparently. That's what I believe most of the world knows Kazakhstan for, but I always go to a country, blank slate, eyes wide open, and I think you should, especially if you're moving abroad, yes, do your research, but still go into a country unbiased and open to learning and open to having new experiences. So I went to Almaty, and immediately when I arrived, it was not early morning, it was in the afternoon, and I learned immediately that not a lot of people spoke English. It was part of the Soviet Union, so most people spoke Russian. And everyone, I don't know how to describe what Kazakh people look like. They do look Asian, but as I lived there long term, I met Russian Kazakhs, so Russian people that's lived in Kazakhstan, work in Kazakhstan, have their ancestors in Kazakhstan, so we call them Russian Kazakhs. I met Kazakhs, so people that are originally from the lands, or the steppe, as they call it, of Kazakhstan. And I met one of my good friends who we organized afternoon tea parties together. She was a Uyghur. That's what in China there's the Uyghur, but she was a Uyghur, and she spoke like 7 languages. And there were many other different type of ethnicities within Kazakhstan. Okay, this might not be popular to say, but yes, Kazakhs do look Asian, but because Kazakhstan was part of the Soviet Union, they have a very different mentality, because Soviets were not religious, they were communist, and their outlook on the world, how they carry themselves, the equality between men and women in Soviet Union, like a country like Kazakhstan is very different than, I guess, other communist countries. So overall, people were really nice. The women there, immediately seeing the women and girls, all had really long hair. I was surprised. I mean, I have long hair. And just to see so many women and girls, especially universities, because I was staying in, renting a place in the city center where the university was, and I just saw all the girls, and I was just like, wow, your hair is so beautiful. And they do speak some English. They're like, our hair is beautiful, your hair is beautiful. So people were very welcome and happy and, curious when they saw me, because you don't see a lot of Americans in Central Asia, let alone foreigners. But I did come across I think I met maybe 1 or 2 Americans, met some Russians, I met some Germans, I met a couple of different people. And everyone was just really warm. People were either just traveling, uh, people that established themselves. I met actually a lot of American lawyers. Yes, I met some American lawyers that had their own practice in Kazakhstan. And it was initially like the first month, it was just a really big change from living in Singapore, which was very fast paced, very corporate, very hot, pristine, but tropical corporate type of environment. Since Southeast Asia is very hot, Kazakhstan, Central Asia, it was warm autumns, but the winter time, oof, by the time it started to get cold, it got cold. And when I was telling people, oh, I'm going to go to the capital, I'm going to go to Astana, everyone told me, do not go. Do not go there. People in Astana apparently are just much colder, they're not as friendly, and everyone's like, Blair, stay in Almaty. The city of Almaty immediately reminded me of Boston. Um, Boston because of the schools, the trees, the nature, and it was easy to walk around. I love that. Okay, we have a question. Did people take many photos of you? I have so many people asking me to take photos of me. How long were we there? No, nobody asked, like, was trying to take photos of me. I did run into these professional photographers and they asked me to be part of a photo shoot, but it was not like if you go to a rural, like, part of China, for example, because I spent time in China where people want to take pictures of you. Even here, some Chinese people, when they see me, they're like, can we take pictures? I'm like, no. But no, nobody asked to take photos of me just because I'm like exotic looking. I was in Kazakhstan for 6 months. And I would have stayed there longer if the pandemic didn't happen. I got myself a corporate tutoring job. So I was teaching executives, C-suite level executives, management level employees at pharmaceutical companies and banks and like business English. And people love the fact, especially that I was an American, because again, you don't have a lot of Americans or Brits or Canadians in that part of the world. So it was actually really wonderful. As I came from Singapore or Thailand, we have a lot of English speakers. But in Kazakhstan, it was like, wow, yes, you have leverage. You really stand out in this market. So do I plan to go back and visit at some point? I would love to go back to Kazakhstan to visit. I really, really enjoyed my time there, especially teaching and my social life like I have here in Belgrade. I met some incredible people because I did my afternoon tea parties. I used to go to the Ritz-Carlton in Almaty, and they have like this nice little luxury mall. And for my tea party, I met some amazing women. And one friend who's like my co-host, the nightlife in Almaty, I have to say, the nightlife in Almaty is like unmatched. You would never think. But I went to these two notorious clubs. One club called Blah Blah Blah, and apparently it was like the first nightclub in all of Kazakhstan. So that was really cool. It's literally called Blah Blah Blah, and this other much more smaller club called Barmaglot, and they have really good food, good music, and Kazakhs, they like to party very late. That was something. I cannot be out of my house, after 3 o'clock. But over there, you're not coming home till like 6, 7, 8 in the morning. And that was a bit too much for me. Like you go out at midnight and then you just come like when the sun's rising. I told my friends and people, look, we can go out at like 10 o'clock, but I need to be home. I need to be in bed. And especially in the wintertime, you need to have a car to really get around. So if you're gonna be partying there, just make sure you get a lot of rest. What about the pandemic experience there? What was making you feel unsafe? I'm surprised to hear about the nightlife there. Yeah, pre-pandemic, it was great, but I was there literally until March 2020. And it was just becoming very clear because to get my visa, my paperwork was taking a lot of time. And, nobody knew what to think. So I didn't feel I had enough stability to be there, and I just needed more options. So that is why I left. And yes, the nightlife there is it's insane. Like, I think Belgrade has a great nightlife, which does, especially with all these new restaurants and hotels and bars. You have places for every type of taste of music for every budget, but Almaty takes it to a whole different level. Very much so, because people are just partying so late. There's a lot of drinking, and people are happy to dance, just like here in Belgrade. But over there is just like next level. Yes, of course. It was easy to order a taxi. They have Yandex there, and I took the bus a lot to get around the city. So I know the buses here, the city of Belgrade has new buses, but I'll never forget they had these like old school buses from like Soviet times that was donated by the Japanese. And taking the bus, oh wow. The way you pay, especially if it gets really crowded, you have one ticket collector on the bus, and you pass the money up to the front to pay, and people pass back the change. It was just kind of like in a different era. These buses and how you pay for the buses, people like hitchhiked. I remember just hitchhike, and you can pay just regular people that want to earn some money. They'll just pick you up on the side of the road, and they'll take you to your destination. So the buses, hitchhiking, and let's see, I had maybe one or two friends that had a car, or just walking around the city. Because if you're in the city center, things are quite okay. I went to the groceries. I next to my home there was like a nice little grocery store, or I could just walk 10-15 minutes to go to the grocery store. So it was really safe. It is very safe. I wouldn't recommend hitchhiking just anywhere, especially for women. But in Kazakhstan, that was kind of standard. If you don't have a car, you can hitchhike, you can take the bus, and it's very reliable. Yes, I've been outside the US, but I've been back to the US occasionally. I went back after the pandemic to get vaccinated because in the EU they didn't let Americans in, and I wanted to go to Paris. So the last time I was in the US was in 2021. And before my time in Belgrade, I was living in Paris. Before the pandemic, it was Kazakhstan, Singapore. I spent like 3 months in New Zealand. I spent time in Thailand, China, South Korea. And during the pandemic, after I left Kazakhstan, I spent 2 years in Turkey. So I was living in Istanbul, Turkey. I lived in a lot of places. I've lived quite nomadically, and teaching English has given me a lot of flexibility. And obviously not having kids or a husband, let alone pets, to keep me still. But yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm happy to be living in one place now, because I would say 2019, I was just exhausted from traveling. I went to so many places, it was not normal. And when I came to Belgrade in 2022, after living in Paris, I just wanted to stay still. I was just, done. Yeah, it's quite a lineup, but teaching English in Asia has been a world of opportunity. And once you're in Asia, it's very easy to travel because you have Thailand. And some of the places I just went on holiday, like when I finished my graduate studies, I went to China first, then to Thailand, and then I went like on holiday in Vietnam and Cambodia. And then I had like a proper holiday in Japan. So it's really easy once you're in Asia, just like Europe, to hop on a plane and just travel to the next country nearby. And this was in my early 20s. I'm 36 now, but at 25, I had my first big girl job, and I took the bus from Bangkok to Phnom Penh, Cambodia, which I would not recommend because Bangkok and Cambodia is quite big. Just to get to the border of Thailand to Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia, it was a 12-hour bus ride. I endured that because I was 25 and I just didn't care. But now, if I travel, I have to be comfortable. I'm no longer staying in hostels. Um, in Kazakhstan, I rented a room, all girls room, so it was cool. I met a lot of people. I'm just not up for that these days. But living in Kazakhstan, people were genuinely kind. People were happy to see me as an American, living my best life. They were happy to make introductions. They do have good food, Kazakh food. I remember I used to eat these like pastas that was stuffed with like beef, and you would buy them frozen, and then when you boil them, and it was so yummy. I forgot the name of them. I used to buy them all the time at the grocery store. So like these frozen pasta with meat inside. It was salty. It was perfect. And you let's see. I of course I always buy oatmeal. Anywhere in the world I travel to, you can find oatmeal, you can find, fruits and vegetables like bananas and kiwis and oranges. But that pasta beef combination was, I think that's the only thing I've ever found uniquely in Kazakhstan. So, do I see myself moving to another country at some point? Future Belgrade, your forever home. I think, hi, I'm good. Thank you for joining the live. Please like. I see Belgrade as my forever home in Europe, but I know I do want to uh, live in different places. I definitely want to go back to Asia to have like a residency in either Thailand or even Singapore. I would love to buy property in Kazakhstan because it was just so nice. I would love to spend like a month in Kazakhstan. It was great. And then last year I was in the Caribbean for business. So who knows, maybe the Caribbean. But I know for me, forever home, Belgrade, I love the winter. I need winter here. And in Kazakhstan, after living in Singapore for several months, I realized how much I miss winter. My skin was so much better in Kazakhstan because being in a tropical, hot, and congested environment like Singapore and Thailand, it was just not good. So in Kazakhstan, the winters get very cold, especially in Nur Sultan or Astana. I mean, I've never been so cold in my life. When I went in March, it was bone chilling cold. You can't just wear layers upon layers. You need like thermal gear. I've never been so cold. I would never live in Astana. Almaty, yes. Um, and I love the winters there. In Astana, the capital is very flat because the government built the city from scratch. So you have all these new buildings, very flat plains. So when it gets windy, you really feel it. Versus in Almaty, there's all these mountains. It's beautiful. Nature is right there. If you want to go skiing, if you want to escape to nature, right there. In Astana, it's just flat. You can drive forever. So yeah, so Blair, what are your best recommendations and tips if someone wants to become a digital nomad? I think at this stage, or where the world is, it's not the smartest move to be a digital nomad. It's best to live in a country where you can get a residency and, or in my industry, investment migration, apply for a citizenship by investment, or at least work or start a business. So it really depends on a lot of factors. The world right now is very unstable. So if you're a foreigner, get that visa, get that citizenship, start a company, buy property. And if you're single, you have a lot of freedom. If you are married, if you have children, if you have like responsibilities and dependents, like pets, for example, like there's a lot of factors when it comes to living the digital nomad life. I think pre-pandemic, yes, I would say go to Thailand, go to Turkey, but a lot has changed with the politics. Uh, Living in Thailand, I was an English teacher. That was nice. But Thailand, especially the government, has cracked down a lot on digital nomads. They want people that are legally there, that have the ability to work there. They don't want people stuck. So Thailand used to be the digital nomad paradise, but I wouldn't recommend that. So if you want to be a nomad, think bigger. Think bigger. And you can send me an email and book a consult, and I can give you some solid advice. But for now, back to Kazakhstan because I have such fond memories of there. And I remember when I was running the border, because while I was waiting for my paperwork, I would go from Almaty and then take the bus to the border to Kyrgyzstan because that's, let me show you. So that is where, I think, the southern border. So Kazakhstan, as you can see, let's see. Okay, I went to Bishkek. Yes, Bishkek. So Almaty. So in this area, oh gosh, it's too bright. Okay. If you type in, there's Almaty to Bishkek. It was like 3-4 hours, and I would just run the border. I literally get to the border, get out of the van, turn right around, and then get back into the country. And the immigration got to know me. They're like, "Oh, you're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth." And they found it hilarious, but they were very nice and saying, "Oh wow, how do you like Almaty? What do you do there?" People were just genuinely friendly, and doing border runs so pre-pandemic. But I think what makes this country special was really the kindness of the people and their curiosity and teaching English. There was a lot of opportunities at that point because I was offered 2 roles in different universities to teach political science and international relations because my BA and MA is in politics. So I had opportunity, and then the pandemic just ruined everything. So now, digital nomad life. No. One thing I liked about shopping, for example, I was surprised. Almaty is a city that has a lot of luxury brand stores. They had Cartier, they had Louis Vuitton, they had, I forgot this other diamond jeweler, one of the biggest, it's the Dutch one that's the biggest in the world. They have a lot of name brands. Apparently, Almaty is a city where there was a lot of millionaires. And just like Belgrade, honestly, today I seen 5 Bentleys. And the where I live, there are a lot of cars, but I see five Bentleys. The other day I saw not just G-Wagons, because I feel like everyone in where I live is just driving a G-Wagon, but I saw 2 like exceptional rare G-Wagons. And this city has just gotten so much richer. But I experienced that when I was in Almaty. There are rich people, like really rich people in that city. And who knew? Because at least in Belgrade, there are no luxury brand stores here. You have department stores that are resellers. But in Almaty, a Cartier, that's amazing. That was amazing to see and experience. So because they do have like a lot of oil reserves, they had a lot of Chinese and Russian companies there. The Kazakhs don't like the Chinese. That's what my friend told me. So like, don't compare us to the Chinese. So there are people doing very well in Kazakhstan, and people like here, I think Kazakhs and Serbs are similar in the sense of how open they are to foreigners, how kind they are, they're curious. There's no racism there either. People there were, again, the Soviets, or I think communist countries, were not racists. So when I was there as a Black person, it was, people were just, "Oh wow, you're Black, okay." People see me more as like an American. Like your nationality is more important than your actual like race, you know. So it was great as a Black woman. I didn't come across a handful of Black people. So how many languages do you speak? What did you speak in Kazakhstan? That's a good question. Hello, thank you for joining. So I had to learn Russian. I remember going to a bookstore because literally not a lot of people spoke English, and I thought I was going to stay in Kazakhstan long term. So my idea was, okay, let's get down to it, because I've moved around so much. When I was in Thailand for 3 years, I did not formally learn Thai. I was just like, I'm an American. I don't know. But in Kazakhstan, I was learning Russian by myself. I had the books to learn the grammar, to learn the alphabet, just like everyday sayings. Здравствуйте. Gosh, I forgot a lot of my Russians. But I was getting there. I was learning there. So the language is, to answer your questions I speak, is just English and French. Some French, because that was a language I studied. And I spent time in Quebec, Canada, at the Université de Laval, learning Quebecois French. Okay, Quebecois French is very different than Parisian or French from France. So it was like kind of like I didn't have a choice. I feel that really pushed me to learn Russian because if you're in an environment where very few people speak English, you don't have a choice. And when I first came to Serbia, I on and off, I've been learning Serbian, but since people here speak really good English, I've just been about really lazy. In Kazakhstan, there's no way you can just get away with not speaking Russian. It is a city where you have to speak Russian, and while there's a handful of people that spoke English, it would be impossible for me to take the taxi to go grocery shopping, just to run errands. And there are international companies. My clients were a Turkish bank, an American bank, a Japanese pharmaceutical company. So yes, professionals spoke English, but you would have to learn Russian, which I think is good. If you want to learn the local language, go where you have no choice to learn the language. So that is what I did. I hope that answers your question. But I do like how people were not only just friendly, but I was able to make friends. It is very difficult as an adult living abroad and making like authentic friendships. Because as we grow, people are stuck in their ways, they have their circles. And interestingly, a lot of the women and men, they socialize and hang out separately. So one friend, for example, going to house parties, the women just kind of congregate on their own and the men go off and do their own thing. And I was just like, why are the men, especially in a place where you have a lot of single women, I'm just like, why are, married women out as married men? Why are women happy to stay at home? And my friend explained, oh, their wives just like want to be with other wives and they stay at home and then married men go out, which I found very interesting. I don't know, culturally, it's not appropriate for married women to hang out with men that are not of their family or they're not their husbands or relatives. So married women tend to socialize and congregate with other women or married women. Hence why my tea parties worked out, because it's women only. Okay, let me answer your questions. Would you say Russian is a hard language to learn? Hard is relative. I think being a teacher, I know my style of learning. So writing and reading and understanding the grammar, that is something I always focus on when I learn language. Russian is not hard, especially if you're in a city and in a country where you hear Russian and see Russian every day and you don't have a choice to speak it. So it's not hard. At least in that circumstance, it's not hard because I literally didn't have a choice. I love Russian and I'm enjoying learning it. Yeah, Russian is a beautiful language. I think with American films, we always paint Russians as these cold, people that are always plotting. And I've met Russians who lived in Kazakhstan and Russian Kazakhs, and they're very nice. And the Russian language is quite a beautiful language. I think, again, Hollywood just gives Americans this view. First, we think most of the world speaks English, and that's not true. Second, we have this idea of Russian people and from films and TV shows, and that's just a poor image. So it was nice to see the other side of Russians, and there are a lot of Russians in Serbia. So Russians have been warmer to you than Americans. Russians, I know they take time to open up. That was one clear distinction between Serbs and Russians, even though they're similar, they're Orthodox, similar but different languages. Serbs, they just don't look friendly. But when you talk to them, they open up, they are friendly. Russians, they're very like distantly polite, and they're very blunt. It just takes more time for them to warm up to you as a people. So that's my experience. Exactly. Not every nationality is always, smiley and happy. Americans, we have this fake, polite kindness and friendliness, very fake. And we smile too much. I've learned to just have more of a Slavic look, but I'm still somewhat in the honeymoon phase. But I had to stop walking around Belgrade smiling because I was attracting like the wrong attention. But with Russians, if a Russian smiles, it's genuine because these people are just not smiling. And Serbs also, people don't just smile for no reason. So in Kazakhstan, people did smile and say hello to me, especially when I saw the students. They were like, hello, hello. People are just very sweet. People are very sweet and very kind. I really, gosh, maybe I should make a trip to Kazakhstan this year. It would be nice. I have one friend, she's Kazakh, and she told me, Blair, I have an apartment in Astana. You can stay at it. But I told myself, I'm like, I don't want to go to Astana. Honestly, Astana is just such a cold city. Astana is not a city I would recommend going to. Go to Almaty. I smiled at a girl on the metro on accident my first month here, and she looked at me disturbed. Yeah, because it's like, why are you smiling at me? If someone smiles at you in Serbia, you should be suspicious. If you don't know this person, you're not joking with them. I've had people smile at me here, and I was a little shocked. But people, I think, smile because they want to have a conversation. They're curious about me. But you don't just smile at strangers. That's just not a thing. That's a very American tradition or habit. We Americans just love to smile. I smile because I'm happy, I'm genuine, and I'm just happy to be living in the city. And I think my, optimism and optimism of living in the city is just, I'm just happy. I'm a happy person. So yeah, I call it the foreigner smile. The foreigner smile. That's a good one. That is a good one. Kazakhs, let's see, what else about Kazakhs, also in Kazakhstan, they speak Kazakh, not only just Russian, but the government trying to not revive the language, but just to make it more standard, is Kazakh to have the language Kazakh be spoken. So while most people speak Russian, the population of Kazakhstan, mostly because again there's different ethnic groups, are Kazakhs. So that was interesting. I didn't learn much Kazakh, I just learned Russian. Older ladies smiling at me all the time. Okay. I've seen here and over in Kazakhstan, people have to have a reason to smile. But they will smile at foreigners, try to have a conversation and ask you a question. So it is, let's say, interesting. I'm smiling because I have such positive memories in Kazakhstan. And I remember for Valentine's Day in 2020, I took a pole dancing class. And my instructor, she was a Russian Kazakh girl, very nice. And wow, pole dancing, I have a whole entire new respect for strippers, because pole dancing is very difficult, especially if you do it so like elegantly. So, okay, I've heard they moved the capital to Astana because of this seismic shift in the south. Have you ever experienced any earthquakes in Almaty? Yes, they moved the capital. I didn't know why. I don't know if that's the reason why, but I did not experience any earthquakes when I was in Almaty. None of that. And they changed the name of the capital from Astana to the former president's Nur Sultan. So The capital is not a beautiful city. It's just flat, and you have all these tall, shiny buildings. I don't know. It just looks very. I wouldn't say fake. It just looks very artificial. I didn't like it at all, and it was so cold. My skin literally cracked. Like I love cold weather, but I was just not ready for that type of cold. Hi. So near destination list. You're on tour of your 5 stands on your destination list. I really wish I visited more of the Stan countries. I've only just been Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, but I've heard wonderful things about Uzbekistan. I met some Uzbeks when I was there. Yes, there was this Uzbek guy because I was part of the Internations. If you've ever heard Internations, it's this like global expat community, and they have chapters all around the world. I'm actually one of the ambassadors for the Internations here in Belgrade, but I also was part of the Internations in Almaty, and the lead ambassador was this Uzbek guy. And he was like, you should go to Uzbekistan. People would like you there. There's a lot of beautiful things to see. And there's Turkmenistan, which I think is really hard. I'm not sure if Americans can go there. But good luck on your travel to the other stands. I've heard people visiting the stands, they like it. But my favorite out of all the stands is Kazakhstan. It's a really beautiful place with beautiful people. So, and for my tea party, I had one guest. She traveled from not Bishkek, but what's the capital of Kyrgyzstan? Bishkek is the nearby city. Actually, no, Bishkek is the capital. Never mind. She was in Bishkek, and she traveled all the way to Almaty. So it was like 4 hours, and I was happy. I'm like, girl, you traveled from another country for my tea party? It's amazing. Okay. The capital, Tashkent. I thought Tashkent is the capital of Uzbekistan. And in fact, there is an Uzbek restaurant here in Belgrade. I've had the food there. It's amazing. The owners is a Russian and an Uzbek guy. Really nice people. So, yay to all the stans. And, interesting story. So I remember when I was at this restaurant trying to order some food. I was by myself, and this gentleman, he was just like, oh, are you American? Let me help you order food. And turns out to be he was the number 2 boxer, professional boxer in all of Kazakhstan. And he invited me to train at his gym. So while I was in Kazakhstan, I used to go to the gym like 2 times a week learning how to box. And I had no idea boxing is a very difficult sport. Like my favorite movie is Rocky, but I've never like trained in a gym before. So it was really cool to train with the students, to learn the different boxing techniques. If you see my latest posts, I share pictures of me with like the boxing students. And it was really fun to learn to box, and it is really a tedious, you have to have a lot of skills. It's not just body, but the mind and how you move, and staying on your feet. It was really a fun experience, boxing. So yeah, just random occurrences, meeting different types of people. A boxer at a restaurant. My roommate, this girl, she's Kazakh, and I'll never forget, the first thing she said to me was like, you're beautiful, you have long hair, you're slim, like, why aren't you married? And I almost laughed, and I told her, why does it matter? I'm here, I'm by myself, I'm happy. But from that day on, we were friends. Until this day, we're friends. People can be very blunt. As an American, I'm still learning that in many cultures, people will not be afraid, especially to tell you as a woman, like, you should have a man, to take care of you. Why don't you put more effort in your looks? You should be more feminine. You should be more this. So I had a bit of a glow up, not like the glow up I've had here in Belgrade, but a whole type of glow up in Kazakhstan. And I used to go to the nail salon. I got my nails done. I got waxing. It was quite affordable to be a beautiful woman. And Kazakh women are some of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. Like, I know Serbian women are beautiful, but Kazakh women, from what I saw, just the beauties over there. next level. Stunning women. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. And very long hair. I never understood why. Well, I think it's good. You shouldn't have to cut your hair. I would like to keep my hair long. But I was just in awe about seeing the beauty of Kazakh women. Yeah. Okay. Hi, Blair. Cheers. Ah. Oh, and while I was there, I went to the dentist. I got my teeth professionally cleaned. My two dentists were really nice. They spoke okay English. I went to the gynecologist. She was Russian Kazakh, such a lovely lady. So I felt very comfortable taking care of my health when I was there. I found especially these professionals and expat groups. Expats, we love our Facebook groups. So I was part of the expats in Almaty Facebook group. So that's how I found my doctors. That's how I was able to make friends and invite people to my tea parties. Uh, Again, Almaty is a city, I think it's almost the same size of of Belgrade. That city has maybe about 1 million people. Let me Google check this. How many? Because I like cities where there's just under 2 million people. After living in Istanbul, because after Kazakhstan, I went to Istanbul, which has like population. At that time, it was like 18 million people. So, population of Almaty, let's see. Just over 2.3 million people as of 2026. So, but when I was there, it was just under 2 million people. So it's like the perfect size for a city. Hi! Compared to Belgrade, actually Belgrade's smaller. Belgrade has apparently 1.68 million. So 1.2 million. Okay, as far as, gosh, make up your mind. As far as 2026, it's between 1.4 to 1.7 million. So Almaty's bigger population-wise than bigger than Belgrade. What about the food? The food was good. There was the first place I ate after I arrived, day one. I went on Google and I searched for burgers and fries because I love my burgers and fries. And I went to this restaurant called Ketchup. Literally, it was called Ketchup. And people loved me because I went there like 3 times a week. It was not too far from where I lived. And they served really good burgers and fries. When I was not eating there, or if I ate at where I rent at home, I went to this Thai place and got some really good Thai food. But I tried to save money and I went grocery shopping and just, again, I had this pasta meat. There's this pasta and they had like this seasoned meat in it, and you would buy it frozen and then you would boil it, or you can even fry it. It was so yummy. I forgot the name of it, but it was good. I don't think I've ever seen that outside of Kazakhstan. Maybe they have that in Russia. So the food was quite home cooked food. They have international food, really good. So, ever visit a village 2,500 and under? No. In every country I lived in, I've never been to a village because I don't have a car. And unless I knew someone that lived in a village, I had no reason to go to a village. Kazakhstan, people have invited me, but they lived like 10 hours away. And that would just be like a whole entire weekend. So my roommate, her family's from Astana. And at one point and this was a time we were both looking for work. She was like, once we settle down, you can come visit my family. I've never been to a village. I'm sure people there are kind and lovely. Even here in Serbia, people tell me, Blair, go to a village, but I don't speak good Serbian and I don't have a car. And I'm just not going to go to some random village and be like, hey, I'm Blair in Belgrade. Let's hang out, It has to be the right circumstances and to go to a village. So, I'm a city girl. I love Belgrade. I like big cities. How did you come up with the idea of hosting tea parties? That's a good question. Thank you for asking. When I was teaching English in Thailand, so I was in Bangkok, one friend, she invited me and another for afternoon tea. And I loved it so much because we finally got to catch up and talk. Because everyone in Thailand is always busy and hustling. I told her, girl, we need to do this once a month because we're all busy. We're all doing like a million different things. Everyone is either at, some meetup events, and I just hate eating pizza and beers. I did a lot of networking in Bangkok. And I told her, look, I'll create a Facebook group. We'll get some women together. Let's meet over afternoon tea. And it just became something that I've done over the last couple of years. And women love it. Hotels love it because it's a way to bring people in. They have these afternoon tea menus. And really in Kazakhstan, it became next level. Because in Bangkok, which has like all the five-star hotels, it was something. But in Kazakhstan, they have a big tea culture. And my friend, who had all the connections, she knew the food and beverage manager for the Ritz-Carlton of Almaty. And when I told him about my afternoon tea, he was like, yes, we can do this. You should do this here. People love afternoon tea. And that's when in 2019, yes, that's when my tea parties really took off. Kazakhstan, that's where it was just like, whoa, luxury. People love this. So yeah, since then, any city I go to, I always host a tea party. It's a way for me to make friends and meet people, build business relationships. So that's kind of where it began. Bangkok to Almaty. And I like to host events. So now I have a beautiful home where I can host. So I had a nice birthday party in January. Then I hosted a Thanksgiving dinner. And I hope to host, actually, one friend asked me to host his party at his house. So I like to party, and who doesn't? And, I did go to one house party in, when it was in Astana. Yes, I was supposed to have a tea party, and this was before, literally like days before the pandemic officially broke out. And I was with my co-organizer / tea party friend, and I went to someone's house party, and it started at like 10 o'clock. I was so tired because they decided, okay, let's go party afterwards at 1 o'clock. And I said, you know what, respectfully, I'm really tired. I'm going to go back to my home because I can't just start to party at 1 o'clock. But people were really, really, the family was really lovely. But I just couldn't get used to partying so late. I remember she came back the next morning. She came back 8 a.m. the next morning. I was like, girl, I can't keep up with you. I'm sorry. I need to be in bed. So I've seen videos of your tea parties. They look fun and yummy. Dress up and hang out. Sounds really cool. Yeah, a lot of women love to dress up and look pretty and network. And what I've learned in Kazakhstan, a lot of women, once you have children, you go on a maternity leave. And many of the women start their own businesses while they're on maternity leave. So it was a really a nice way for moms and new business owners to mix and mingle. And they loved it. I had a really successful one on 2020 and for International Women's Day, because International Women's Day, just like here, is very much celebrated. The Soviets took International Women's Day very seriously. They also have Men's Day, which is in November, and they take that very seriously. So both genders were seen as equal, both deserving to be celebrated. So the tea party concept is a way for me to really get to know a country, to make friends. And also I met Korean Kazakhs. That's another ethnic group I was surprised to meet. At the Internations Almaty group, this Korean guy, he was just like, I think my wife should go to your tea parties. She has a cleaning business. She wants to meet other women in business. This would be really good for her. And he explained, like, the Koreans in Kazakhstan have been there for generations, like 3-4 generations. And it was just fascinating because you think Kazakhs are just Kazakhs, Russian Kazakhs, but they are Korean Kazakhs. And in Kazakhstan. Yeah, Men's Day. There is an International Men's Day. People don't know this because if women are not planning things, men just kind of see it to the side. But yes, there is a Men's Day. Men's Day, I believe, is in November. And men get socks, they get tools. I know this because one of my clients, who was a manager at a bank, and he explained that for International Women's Day, you have to get all women and girls in your life flowers. So your coworkers, your wife, your mothers, your daughters, your female cousin, any woman in your life, you have to get flowers. And he explained for Men's Day, women give men in the office, their husbands, their fathers, their sons, male cousins, they give them socks or tools or any type of practical little gift, which was fascinating. So everyone in some type of way is celebrated. Yeah. In Russia, it's called Defender of the Fatherland Day. Okay. I've never been to Russia. In fact, I wanted to move to Russia, but then the war in Ukraine broke out, so that just didn't happen. But I hope to go to Moscow and go to St. Petersburg. I think that would be really cool. But it's very difficult for Americans to go to Russia. You need a special type of visa. And I was in the process of getting my visa, getting my paperwork together. But that didn't happen. Socks and shaving. Yes, shaving cream. Shaving cream, razors, things that I guess men use. So, no, you thought that one was in February. Men's Day? I thought Men's Day was in November. Maybe that's the American Men's Day. Let's see. That's a good question. When is Men's Day? Men's Day. Let's see. Men's Day. Yeah, it says International Men's Day is celebrated in November. November 19th is International Men's Day. Hi, Blair. I'll be in Belgrade from May 16th to June 1st, coming from the Netherlands. Originally from the Caribbean. Fellow Black woman who loves Belgrade. Maybe we can meet for coffee and a drink. That sounds wonderful that you're visiting in May. You can send me an email. I do have to be straightforward that the only way I meet people is over afternoon tea, and you have to book that experience with me because my schedule is very full and I don't casually meet people over coffee or drinks. It's more over afternoon tea. But send me an email after this, blair@blairandbeyond.com. I've learned my lesson, especially in my early years living here, or even being an expat. I just cannot meet people randomly over coffee or drinks. I think it depends on the country. Yeah, it depends on the country. But here it says International Men's Day is November 19th. It's highlighted positive male role models. But I think maybe in former Soviet countries, they have some type of Men's Day. Maybe it follows this timeline, or they have another one. Okay, yeah, I look forward to your email, and I read all my emails. We can have afternoon tea at the St. Regis because they have a nice tea experience, or the Bristol Hotel. They also have afternoon tea. Interestingly, I introduced afternoon tea to Serbia. When I came here, everyone told me, Blair, Serbs don't drink tea, only sick people drink tea, and I was just like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and a lot of the Serbian women and the expat women, they loved it, because afternoon tea is such an elegant way to get together with other women and meet people. So now all the 5-star hotels, because of me, I had the first one at Hotel Moskva, I've done it at the Metropole Palace, the St. Regis. Okay, they've been doing this for generations, but I made it popular. The Bristol Hotel, President Palace. This is my legacy here. Afternoon tea. Your channel is goldmine. Hopefully Serbia will not high on there. Yeah, Serbia, I feel like people do appreciate what I'm doing. And I really enjoy how I built a brand, Blair in Belgrade. But if the pandemic didn't happen, it would be like Angela in Almaty. Angela's my first name. But I would have definitely branded myself in Almaty because that city I really loved so much. And I became so fashionable. Like the winter fashion in Kazakhstan it's really amazing. Like people here dress pretty well, but since it's much colder and people wear more furs, seeing the style of women, older women, younger women, like it was just wow. It was an inspiration. And I learned that women were very well taught, like you do not leave your house unless you have makeup, high heels, look good. There was no such thing as being a lazy or sloppy woman in Kazakhstan. I think that's why a lot of people look good, because you have to look literally perfect once you leave your house. So I Cynthia Erivo, I don't see myself. I know she was in Wicked, but I don't think I look like her. But I guess thank you. She's a beautiful woman. Um, that was something very clear about Kazakhstan. And a lot of the girls say, yeah, Blair, that's not a compliment. Our mothers like really pressured us to, um, yeah, I don't. She's a different complexion. She shaved her hair. You know, not all black people look alike, but I'm not gonna go there. She's a talented actress. So yeah. Your own legacy. I'm a coffee girl, but your tea parties sound really awesome. Hope I'll be able to attend one day. Yeah, coffee is very big in Serbia, but in Kazakhstan, it was tea. Everyone loves tea. And I think that's why my tea parties were very big and extravagant, because the tea culture there is very well appreciated. Here, especially for my tea parties, um, I'm glad more hotels have the tea parties experiences. It's still something relatively new. And all my guests for Saturday's tea party, it was their first time being at the St. Regis. And to my surprise, I explained, like, you should go there. Like, you have these beautiful hotels, you have these beautiful venues. Go have tea there. What's your purpose of YouTube live streaming? Are you on a goal? I do have goals, because with live streaming, especially on YouTube, my channel is monetized. I used to do a lot of live streaming on TikTok, but since my TikTok is not in the States, it's not monetized. So I really want to monetize this channel. People can send like gifts, I think, not gifts, because TikTok was gifts. But yeah, if you want to donate on this live, feel free. I don't have Cash App. That's the thing. I don't have Cash App. I do have PayPal. So I want to connect with people and I want to share life in Serbia. But obviously, this channel is part of my company, ABC Experiences and Events, because I do have a Serbian company. I'm not just like a full-time YouTuber. So YouTube definitely is a game changer in terms of me finding clients for my company and branding Serbia and getting clients, corporate clients. Yeah, that's the purpose. Earn money, but also at the same time, get my brand out there for the world to know that, hey, I'm Blair Belgrade. I provide relocation services. I'm also a spokeswoman for a company helping people that want to acquire second or third citizenship. So citizenship by investment. I talked about that on my Sunday live, because there's digital nomads, there's expats, and then citizenship by investment. If you're a foreigner living abroad, you need some type of legal way to stay in a country. So you're either, working remotely and you have a residency, you have a company, or you buy property, and through those you get your residencies, or you become a citizen. So my YouTube channel has landed me some corporate clients. And yes, US dollars does not only just go far in Serbia, but in most parts of the world. But you should know, making friends offline is better than offline. Exactly. All my genuine friends, and I don't say this lightly, if my friends I've known for at least a year, I have not met them online. These people have their own businesses. They also are either somewhat of an influencer, but they have real companies. But I have not made any genuine friends online. No. I've met people, we do business, provide services, but I wouldn't call people online my friends. No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The world can be, especially the internet, can be a scary place. There's all types of people. So yeah, I feel like I should do my lives at 9 o'clock. And let me know where people are watching from, because I feel like 8 o'clock is a weird hour. Maybe people are at dinner. Maybe I should do lives at 9 o'clock. It seems more of a more popular time. I just know between Serbia and the US, I need like a sweet spot where people will be able to participate in my stream. So I guess we'll do another live this week. So, okay, you gotta go to sleep. Have a good day. Yeah, I've been on here for an hour, so I might hop off, but I hope all, especially if you're watching this in the future, Kazakhstan, North Carolina, USA, cool. Kazakhstan is a wonderful country, and I'm going to do another video about, especially if you're a Black person, where are 3 countries to live in? Serbia, Kazakhstan, and China. Those are the top 3 countries, and I'll sit down and do a video talking about that. USA. Okay, so I have some Americans. See, this is why I think I'm going to stream a little later. Oh, St. Peter's. Russia. Nice! 11 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so maybe 8:30, because 8 o'clock seems like a weird time. So next time I'm going to stream 8:30. That I think that would be better. So we have some really international people. This was nice. US, Russia, Serbia. This is good. So yeah, I'm getting tired. I started early and I have to do my hot girl morning walk. So as the sun rises earlier, I need to get up earlier and walk. So all right, all, thank you. Oh, Moldova. It's almost midnight where you are. Hello, I'm Blair, but I'm ending my live. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. If you're watching the replay, let me know what your thoughts if you plan to go to Kazakhstan. It's a beautiful country. People are very friendly. The food is good. They have a really amazing nightlife. And I'll see you next time.